Hello, everybody, and welcome to Non Sequitur News for November 9th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 314. It's Pi Day of the Year? 3.14. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt, and along with the co-host, the sentient AI from the future, who still has not divulged any lottery numbers, we're going to talk about these 10 articles. What happened with the Dragon Splashdown? Nintendo sues a streamer. Chaos at Belfast Airport. Moon Mars exploration from Texas. Arc. What the hell's going on? Orbital refueling. Scuba diver meets rare ocean creature. How far are we from AGI? One night to years rent free. Netease corruption investigation. That and maybe some jokey. It depends on the content, but everything is powered by ohmtown.com. Go there, become a citizen, and you too can facilitate this and the other 6, because we have 7 podcasts altogether, because you can submit news once you're a citizen. Go over there and find out how. It's really easy. Just sign up and you're instantly a citizen. Ta-da! And then you can sit there and filter through the news like we do. 50 categories, which are actually channels, which I hope to turn into shows here on Twitch and YouTube and a podcast. And they're all listed over on Discord, and there's a Patreon for the whole network, and TikTok, which barely gets any attention anymore. Probably shouldn't be announcing that.
Right.
All right. The sentient AI from the future is sending error messages. Error, bail out. So, full disclosure, I am working on ohmTown right now. It's kind of under construction, but we don't put banner signs up anymore saying under construction. That's very 1980, 1990, 2000-ish. Well, the 80s, 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. We used to put a sign up saying under construction, but usually there's a warning sign that there's graphics missing and things like that, and that's because I'm cleaning house. So don't be alarmed. I'm aware of it. Hopefully it doesn't bug y'all too much, but go over and hang out at ohmtown.com. It's all news, no noise. There isn't any fluff over there. All the fluff is right here in this channel, this show, right here on Twitch and YouTube. Let's get into it. But first, you want to say hello, oh sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
Keep thinking there's more. I don't know why. 314 episodes this year, 2 previous years worth of episodes, and I still think something else is on the tail of that. So maybe that's what's going on with Arc. But anyway, I use the Arc browser. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But it's neat having this little compartment for ohmTown. First article is over in the Mobile channel. NASA remains stubbornly silent on why crew went to hospital after Dragon Splashdown. The 4 astronauts were hospitalized after returning from an 8-month stay on board the ISS. I suspect it's because they spent an 8-month stay on the ISS.
Right. I mean, think about the status of the tomatoes up there.
Oh, do you think that? I don't know. I was told recently that a member of ohmTown saw like an update from one of the ISS, one of the Starliner crew members that have been up there way past their sell-by date, and they're looking a little rough around the gills, but I guess I would too if I was stuck up in zero gravity. So people are talking about this, I guess. Basant Robbie over at Gizmodo.com put an article together. I don't know really what is going on. I find it really fascinating, though, because I think that humans have a hard time and are going to have a hard time, particularly out on Mars, particularly extended stays on the moon. I think that humans need to be around humans and a plurality of them.
Well, right. And also the conditions are different.
Yeah. And so a press conference held earlier today, which is the last 24 hours, was an opportunity for NASA to explain why 4 crew 8 astronauts were sent to hospital after splashing down on Earth on October 25th. But the agency and its astronauts quickly shut down any attempts by journalists to glean more information. Upon their return, all 4 astronauts were hospitalized, and one was forced to spend an overnight stay due to an unidentified medical issue. Yikes.
That doesn't sound good, but I can see why they're not divulging what it is, because that would be protected health information.
Oh, you think that's a HIPAA thing, huh?
Well, I don't
Interesting.
know. I mean, it could be, but it could be something that went awry during the mission.
So spaceflight is still something we don't fully understand. We're finding things that we don't expect sometimes. This is one of those times, and we're still piecing together on this, the things that they're piecing together on this. And so to maintain medical privacy and to let our processes go forward in an orderly manner, this is all we're going to say about that event. Said NASA astronaut Michael Barrett told reporters on Friday, quote, "That leaves us 235 days, 3 hours, and 35 minutes of Crew 8 experience that is open to your questions."
Wow. It's like, don't even bother.
Yeah, well, they said at the beginning of this article they were going to get quickly shut down. So, wow. So, naturally, the first question from the room is why? Quote, "I did not say I was uncomfortable talking about it. I said we're not going to talk about it," Barrett, who is also a physician, reiterated. "Space medicine is my passion, and how we experience human spaceflight is something that we all take very seriously." The astronaut added that in time, NASA will allow this information to be documented and released, but medical privacy and following through with the proper processes are the 2 main priorities for the space agency at the moment. So I have an idea, but we all have to wait and see.
Okay. Well, it's also interesting because they mention the Roscosmos. I might have said that incorrectly.
No, that's it.
Person, I wonder if they had the same issue. Presumably they would.
So it says here who did not take part in the news conference due to his travel schedule. The 4 astronauts launched to the ISS on March 4th, spent a total of 232 days aboard the ISS, traveling nearly 100 million miles and completing 3,760 orbits around the Earth. Then they splashdown. Sorry, the crew splashdown. I merged crew and splashed. Probably not the right time for that. Off the coast of Florida, riding on board a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. And then they were taken to the hospital out of an abundance of caution. So I guess we'll wait and see. There's more in this article, but not even going to get into it because they're reaching back to 2022 about the cargo spacecraft
Right,
experiencing an
about other
anomaly.
flights. Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about Starliner and other things. So you can see how I kind of filter through noise. But you don't know about that stuff unless you read about that stuff, and then you can filter through it, because information overload is a legit problem, as we have seen in recent weeks. So kind of interesting, right? And if you are a creative person, this can give you kind of fodder for your next writing effort.
Absolutely. I mean, this kind of makes me think of the show Constellation or something.
Oh boy, no. That's one that was picked up but set down immediately and walked away from.
Yes, it was, but it's like what happened during that mission, right?
I think maybe we should move on. The next article, though, is over in Technology Today. Nintendo is suing a streamer of pirated software for millions of dollars. If you want all of these articles, you can actually, over in the chat on Twitch, not on YouTube, unfortunately. YouTube doesn't like Omatron. And I have to attach and detach Omatron from the chat over on YouTube. So we put the notes up on the video after the show. So you'll have to wait for those unless you go over to twitch.tv/ohmtown, where you'll be able to hit !NSN for non sequitur news, and you'll get the show notes. You can also just type in !show notes, and that will give you all of the syntax necessary to obtain the show notes for the other shows that we have, like Reality Hacker, which is coming after this one, Wanted, and the Continuity Report is our fourth show today, technically, but our third weekly show. All right. So Nintendo has filed a lawsuit against a streamer called Every Game Guru, whom it's accusing of streaming gameplays of pirated games before they were even released, and of providing viewers access to illegal ROM copies and piracy tools. So in this kind of situation, I agree. They really shouldn't be doing this and facilitating other people gaining access to it. But it says in the lawsuit, the company said that the defendant live streams himself playing games on YouTube, Discord, Twitch, TikTok, Trovo, Kick, Vaughn, DLive, Picardo, Nemo, Facebook, Loco, often with very little commentary. Apparently every game
Is that all?
guru. Is that all? Yeah, I know. That's
quite a few platforms.
Easy. Apparently every game guru streamed gameplays of at least 10 different titles before their official release date in at least 50 occasions since 2022. Now, this is probably the best marketing that this person could possibly achieve. But they filed a lawsuit. Pardon me, got the hiccups. Morella Moon over at Engadget.com put the article together. The deck statement says the defendant has been streaming gameplays before the titles were even released. So how are they actually gaining access to this? Has to be an insider who is part
absolutely,
of beta
or
testing.
somebody who gets authorized,
like early
alpha
release
or beta or early release or something.
Yeah, well, depending on how polished they are, they're not alpha or even beta. I mean, beta can be close to release, but this is kind of fascinating. Who is the courier that's providing it to this person, unless it is this person? But I guess Nintendo would have to go an extraordinary step and start embedding technology that I have experience with that was easily removed 30 years ago. You would have to.
I mean, we don't know. I think you're right, though. They have to have some inside.
Yeah.
Well, they either have inside access or somebody's posting a whole lot of things, and then they're collecting them and then playing them.
Yeah, because they say that it's usually without any communication. So, but it could be that if they give away their language, it allows narrowing down. So everything kind of, if you're trying to locate somebody, every little bit adds up. And so when you're trying to forensically obtain the identity of somebody, their voice can be very powerful, particularly in today's world where you can gather voice from disparate places and then use AI to identify match, right? It's essentially what YouTube does with their content ID system. When it matches too much, you get a little nasty gram saying that something
their
is
algorithm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, and their algorithm is different. Sorry, I don't want to confuse the two, because the algorithm is about how people obtain content, but content ID is their intellectual property protection system. And it's all automated. And so people will add a little bit of static to a sound, or expand or contract a video so that the content ID system is thrown off. But it's learning, adapting, and then notifying those people that they're in violation. But this goes way beyond that. They're streaming to every platform that I have ever heard of that's still operational.
I think the fact that they're streaming to some less common platforms should be also a clue if they're really trying to uncover this.
Yeah, they're everywhere, it seems. And streaming to TikTok, I find is really fascinating because not everybody gets access to streaming through TikTok. And I'm talking about like live streaming. They're actually mentioning live streaming. Um, yeah, it's pretty interesting. So in all of this, there's going to be some information that slowly, and the first step really to obtaining that identity is going to be filing a lawsuit. Then they can start compelling the online services to divulge information. So they're going to narrow it down. So after Nintendo got the videos taken down from various platforms, including YouTube, he continued live streaming on Logo and even included a QR code for his Cash App handle. He would also create new accounts after his old ones got disabled. Then Nintendo said that he sent the company an email telling it that it has 1,000 burner channels and that he can do this all day. It says we found a user, the authors of this at Engadget found a user with the same name on Loco with streams of Super Mario Jamboree before it officially became available on October 17th this year.
You know what better way to anger a company is to
Yeah.
be like, haha, come get me.
Yeah, catch me if you can. Yep. So one screenshot showed wherein he wrote a step-by-step guide on how to play illegally downloaded ROMs. He included links to Ryujinx, Yuzu, Suyu, Sudachi, Nintendo Switch emulators, links to websites that distribute the game ROMs, a link to a website where people can get Switch decryption keys necessary to be able to play the console games. It says capitalism is cancer, he wrote in the post in all caps, which is ironic because the reason why you have all of the technology that you have at your disposal is because of capitalism driving the mechanisms of innovation. There's a difference between capitalism and greed.
Motive.
Yeah. But I think that there is a fundamental difference between capitalism and excessive greed. And Nintendo is probably not the poster child of positive capitalism because they're really strong-handed when somebody runs afoul of just talking about Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo is kind of the Oprah of
gaming. They
gaming.
are, but I hear this absolutely makes sense to pursue it, right? There wasn't authorized release of the games, etc.
Yep. So they say my channel is being deleted for sharing gameplay videos. This is your reward, but it's your existence is based on the reputation and early release of intellectual property of somebody else. And there's a reason why they have that kind of marketing in place. It's so that they can have everything in place to positively impact the growth, adoption, use, purchase, etc. of their intellectual property. They spend millions of dollars to facilitate that. And you're literally releasing a video before it's allowed to be released so that you can get attention. It is, and you're asking for money, which is the heart of capitalism. If you want to do it for free, fine, do it for free. And then you can stand on your, don your white knight
on their
armor.
Morals or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, but you're literally asking people to support you, which is the heart of capitalism. So irony, hypocrisy.
Selective capitalism.
There you go. For me, not thee, right? Yeah. So seeing Nintendo is accusing the defendant of streaming at least 10 games illegally in at least 50 occasions, $150,000 in damages per violation, but that isn't actually the sum of the violation. The violation also is the amount of consumption, distribution, et cetera, and it doesn't necessarily add up to just 10 games, 50 occasions. It could be beyond that in the actual enumeration, but
right.
Kind of fascinating.
Yeah, anyway, it's per occurrence, right?
Apparently this is sourced from 404 Media, but maybe others added to it. Engadget has links within their own article regarding this, but 404 Media seems to be the core of this. Anyway, let's keep on moving. I spent a tremendous amount of time on this one. So the next article is over on the Mobile Channel. Staff shortages lead to chaos at Belfast Airport, but it doesn't rise to the occasion of a boa constrictor falling out of the ceiling or a raccoon falling out
A
of the ceiling.
raccoon, right?
Or what I witnessed chasing a little dog around the airport tarmac.
Right. I mean, all these things do occur.
Or what I
And
lived through mocking somebody's bag being run over by the baggage handlers on the tarmac of an airplane, with me exclaiming, "Oh, sucks for that person," only to find out 15 minutes later that I was that person. And I lost gifts on that, by the way. So it's not all fun and games, right? You take that, Mayor Watt. Anyway, staff shortages. And I wonder if it means that there were shortages of staffs, like, the walking stick staff.
most definitely, that's what it is.
Or they ordered like 7-foot staff, but they only got 3-foot staff. I don't understand. We'll figure it out. So RTE.IE put this article together. Vincent Kearney put the article together for RTE.IE. So it says there were chaotic scenes at Northern Ireland's largest airport this morning as long queues formed because of a shortage of security staff, and the number of passengers took to social media to complain about the delays and express concern about missing flights. It says it's absolute shambles. I wish that they had pictures, but they don't have pictures. They just
I know.
have...
I was hoping they were going to show, 500 people in line or something to go through like a one-person checkpoint. Or
Yeah, there's like 12. It enables, so new technology, which was supposed to shorten the time to get through security, was introduced at the airport last month. It enables passengers to leave all electronics and liquids under 100 milliliters in their hand luggage, removing the need to unpack them to go through security scanners. And at the time, the airport's management said that it would speed up the security process, and that the part of efforts to optimize processes and ensure a smooth and efficient experience for passengers. But really what it amounts to is money. They didn't want to fund.
right, we don't need as many security personnel. We can just do this. Well,
Yeah.
we see how well that's working.
Yeah. So the moment that something falls out of alignment with the policy, you end up with a shortage, because now you have to wait for somebody else to come in and go, "Hey, we need more people." I don't know. This is dumb. All right. Well, and this kind of stuff has a ripple effect. That's one of the reasons why I brought this up, is something that happens in Belfast has a knock-on effect in all of Europe and over in the United States, as planes can't jockey from one place to another in time to meet their destinations. Now, it either the plane leaves without the people, or the plane waits for the people. All right.
So just so you know, I was able to see a copy of the photo, and it looks like I can't even think of something that's comparable. It's wall to wall people. There's not a single spot in the airport that isn't occupied by a person standing.
So it's Times Square on New
Yes,
Year's.
basically. Like, that's how busy it looks.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, pre-pandemic Times Square, because...
Oh, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, ever since the pandemic, it's been somewhat more sedate. All right, let's keep going, though. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. $200 million Texas Space Center will support Moon Mars exploration. A new Texas A&M Space Institute will feature landscapes that mimic the moon and Mars to support future exploration. Dun dun. So if there's one place that can support moon-like and Mars-like exploration, it's going to be something in Texas.
I'm not sure why.
It takes
just
6 years to get from one side of Texas to the other. Well,
yeah, that's true. And there is a lot of open space compared to some other areas of the country.
Everything is bigger in Texas, including getting from one side to the other.
Including moon rocks or whatever.
Sure. So Joe Edwards over at Newsweek.com put this article together. Well, what's amazing about this is it's Texas A&M University Space Institute, and there's $200 million being dropped on this.
I think this is fascinating, but I'm sure the location has to do with like SpaceX's location. Plus, they're probably going to funnel all kinds of people into the space program from there, I guess.
And then another weird thing is that the state is notorious for power fluctuations, the frequency of a cheap ham radio, depending on what the weather is, and it's not getting any nicer. Although they've apparently attached themselves to the rest of the grid for the first time, just a month ago.
Right, but I mean, they've definitely had their share of
issues,
climate change issues too, not just the power grid, like extreme heat,
extreme
flooding.
Cold. Yeah. So it says this building will be constructed on 32 acres at the entrance of the Johnson Space Center in Houston and will include landscapes that mimic the surfaces of the moon and Mars. Each landscape is set to be the size of Texas Kyle Field, college football stadium, which is the fourth largest in the U.S. Whenever I think of the fourth largest of anything, I start giggling because there is a podcast about a guy who finds a portal behind a fast food joint and ends up in an alternate dimension. And he has the fourth fastest horse in that world.
Okay.
And so every time there's something wrong with my brain. But anyway, construction on the new Space Institute is slated to begin. And I think that I giggle at that Space Institute. I don't know why. It's surreal to be thinking that we've got...
The fact that we have a Space Institute is pretty crazy.
But we're like launching stuff every single day, multiple
Gattaca,
times.
Here we come in terms of the frequency of the launches.
I love it. I just wish that it wasn't framed the way that it is. Additional projects in the package include $10 million hypersonic wind tunnel to be constructed at Texas A&M Rullis in Bryan. Lots of money being thrown into Texas. Gosh. University School of Veterinary Medicine, already ranked as one of the best in the country, is set to benefit from a $181 million teaching and research complex included in the new package. Where's all this money coming from? Does it say? Did it say? Board of Regents.
No, it just says Board of Regents. So, I mean, this is a pretty sizable infusion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Texas A&M University is massive to begin with. But,
right, and I'm sure they have a ridiculous fund.
Yeah, I'm sure. But this seems extra big,
Yeah, this isn't like, let's make some improvements to this classroom.
Construction on the facility will begin early next year. The new building, I suppose, will alleviate the pressure on Texas A&M's small animal teaching hospital, which sees around 24,000 cases each year, despite being designed to support a caseload of just 6,000.
I guess if you're in the area and you have this world-class veterinary facility, it's like, I'm bringing my pets there.
Yeah, my hamster
is agricultural. I don't know what type of animals they see.
My hamster is going to get... It's small animal.
Oh, small animals, sorry. Yeah. So not cows.
Yeah. It's like, really? There's 24,000 cases of small animal? All right. I must live in a protected world because how in the world are there 24,000?
That seems like a lot, although maybe not, because what if it's something like mice and there are 1,000? Okay. Right? Like maybe you get big batches at once.
Hey, man, if 43 macaques can escape from a research facility in South Carolina...
By the way, they're going... 42 are still on the loose. One is recovered.
They caught one? I wonder if they're interrogating them. I haven't read the
specifics. I don't know. Yeah, like where are your
brothers?
Compatriots?
Oh, yeah, compatriots. I shouldn't assume the gender of any of these. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over on the Wanted channel. Arc browser fell off. Here's why I'm returning to Chrome. Not me, but that author. Over the past year and change, the Arc browser has become something of a darling among certain circles on the internet. The Chromium-based navigator offers a truly unique experience in a sea of all too similar browsers. For me, it makes it really easy for me to put the show together because just off the screen there, is a whole bunch of tabs that are stacked horizontally or vertical. It's a vertical stack, whereas most browsers do it horizontally. And so I can see all of the links and everything that I am presenting today just by dropping, down one notch. And I love the browser's layout on this particular screen with this particular layout. It works great. But for whatever reason, either it's a memory leak or whatever, it becomes a dog over time, which to me, it resembles early Chrome. And it's from Chromium, which is what Chrome is built off of. So I'm not surprised, because the core of Chrome still isn't really open source. It's all protected by Google.
Well, and Arc is relatively new too, so
Right.
it might improve over time, might not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we all witness it in the show as time goes on. I don't reboot my primary gaming machine. There's no reason to. And eventually it becomes a dog, and it's the browser that's doing it. So over at pocket-lint.com, Bon Adamson put the article together, and it's titled Arc Browser Fell Off. Here's why I'm returning to Chrome. New features are not coming to Arc Browser, disappointing many of the loyal users. For me, I don't want it to be cloud anything. I just want it to run locally. But it reaches out from time to time. It actually creates an account of sorts on the computer. I don't allow it to reach out. The browser company is focusing on a new product, leading to Arc's decline, which is really just a shit move, because if your current product isn't good enough, bouncing to a new product isn't instilling faith in the new product. But then again, maybe you're treating everything as beta, which has been emblematic of modern business. Everything is a beta. Like, I'm running Beacon drivers right now that to fix a problem, I'm using the beta. And I don't know when the problem is going to reappear, which, because I have two system setup, it's sending information from one computer to the other, and that other computer disconnects. I should say the one that holds all of this information right here on my main screen, that sends information to my streaming platform, and it'll just disconnect. So pretty weird, right? Users considering switching from Arc have options like Zen Browser and Vivaldi. I've never used either of those two. It was risky for me to feel like even Arc was safe, and it turned out that it wasn't safe for a considerable amount of time because security researchers found exploits within it. So it says, however, in recent weeks, you may have noticed that Arc has begun to lose the favor of even the most loyal fans. Though the shift may seem sudden, there are legitimate reasons that many users are ditching Arc for greener pastures. So one of the most exciting parts of using Arc in the early days of the browser was seeing what new features they were going to introduce next. The browser received weekly updates that even came with a nicely laid out change log and sometimes even videos. Not groundbreaking, but it was about engagement. They were very proud of what they were doing. Using Arc comes with an immediate wow factor, and it's incredible, truly incredible to watch the experience be regularly built upon. But I actually get updates regularly, so I'm not quite sure what they're talking about, but I'm sure that it isn't feature rich, right? It'll still be receiving. It says the browser company recently announced that development for Arc was officially winding down.
Yeah, so much for my comment at the beginning.
Yep. So why is it not receiving new features? It's because they're shutting it down. They're literally winding it down. So now I'm going to have to find a different browser, because I don't want to be logged in to my other accounts, which if you log into Firefox, if you log into anything on Firefox, those cookies traverse. And although you can have a private browsing session, it isn't always as secure as people think. And so either in Chrome or Firefox, and Edge has one purpose, and that is to download some other browser. So I'm not using Edge, although I do have one segment of my existence that requires it, which sucks. Let me tell you. Anyway, I found it really fascinating that I've been really interested in this new up and coming browser, and now they're shutting it down, which...
Exactly. And I mean, how apropos that you got your news through Hometown.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the reason. So Arc migration destinations, you can move over to Zen browser. It says, much like Arc uses vertical tabs, Zen is also receiving consistent updates that are frequently bringing new features and customization options. There are also distinct differences in Zen has over Arc, such as being open source and being based on Firefox rather than Chromium. Sounds good to me. Guess where I'll be going? Probably Zen browser. Aside from Zen browser, there's also a lot of talk about switching to Vivaldi, another Chromium-based browser, which I think Chromium is slow, except for in Chrome. But that's their baby, so... yeah, Vivaldi isn't a whole lot like Arc in terms of workflow, but it is one of the most aesthetically pleasing browsers out there. And I don't care what the browser looks like. The page inside is what matters. And I want vertical tabs. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like a lot of people would want that. Maybe somebody else will start doing it.
Yeah. And the only other option that I have really is to redesign my workflow. But this actually sped up. The vertical tabs is what sped up our show from being 2 hours long to an hour. And some of our shows are only 30 minutes. So anyway, pretty cool. There's more, of course, that you can glean from going over to pocket-lint.com and reading this article by Bon Adamson.
Well, not pretty cool.
I mean, we got some leads, right? Trying to find the silver lining in this dumpster fire. Let's move on. The next article is over on Non Sequitur News. SpaceX is working on orbital refueling tests between 2 starships. Dear God. I'm telling you, this stuff is amazing.
The pace of the advancements is just accelerating so quickly.
Yep. The engineers at SpaceX are spectacular. What I really want, though, is balkanization. I want more of these engineers out on their own, free agent, building this stuff, but they can't because it takes hundreds of millions of dollars and government acceptance of your knowledge, skills, and abilities, a whole lot of political blah, blah, blah. And for whatever reason, we've got what we've got. So it says, what's better than 1 starship? You guessed it, 2. By next year, we may get to see a pair of the world's largest spacecraft work in tandem in a spectacular attempt to refuel one of them in orbit.
Okay, this is outrageous.
Serving as a crucial milestone towards demonstrating that Starship is capable of carrying out NASA's Artemis 3 mission, which will see humans return to the lunar surface for the first time in over 50 years. Assuming that the aliens that made the moon and planted it there millennia ago, well, longer than millennia, but anyway, yeah. Anybody biting on that?
I hope we get video of this if we... Yeah, I was kind of moving past that. I hope we get video of this happening.
Oh yeah, I want to see. Well, we will. It's a guarantee. So it says, spotted by TechCrunch, the timeline for the anticipated test was revealed in a Spaceflight Now interview with Deputy Manager of NASA's Human Landing System program, Kent Chojnacki, I guess. Is that their name? Chojnacki? Or Chonacki. I think it might be just pronounced Chonacki. So the article is over at futurism.com. Frank Landemore put the article together, and it says here, the refueling plan is ambitious. First, SpaceX will launch 2 starships into low Earth orbit 3 to 4 weeks apart. Parked above our planet, the initial spacecraft will need to be gassed up for the demonstration's purposes and will patiently hunker down. Weeks later, the second Chaser rocket will fly up for a rendezvous with the companion, after which the 2 starships will dock with each other. Then the latecomer will transfer propellant to the first rocket, and once it's topped off, undock. From there, both will deorbit.
This is really big because think of the ramifications of this. And it says it's going to happen in March of 2025.
Oh, dear God. March.
I mean, that's right around the corner. I thought this was going to be like 2030 something.
Oh my God, that is amazing. So certainly SpaceX's progress with the rocket of late has been promising. Its most recent fifth orbital flight test saw Starship, um, pull off a ridiculously impressive landing by guiding itself into the mechanical arms of its launch tower dubbed Mechazilla, and the chopsticks is what they refer to these little arms that catch it as it descends on these two little posts that are probably the size of my fist. It has little stubs sticking out. A lot of people think that it's landing on the wings, the little stubby wings, but it's not. There's two little posts that are just hanging there, and it just descends, and the chopsticks bump, 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 and it sits on the arms of the chopsticks. It's amazing. But still, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of low rent, right? It's very awkward. For this device to land somewhere
It
else, it
has
would
to be
have
real
to
precise. Yeah, you don't have that landing mechanism somewhere else.
on the moon, for instance. Yeah. So we need better metallurgy so that we can have those landing legs just like the smaller rockets, the Merlin ones. And so there isn't much more to this article, so I'll just move on to the next thing. But uh, I love that we are sending stuff up and down with the regularity that I had been dreaming of since watching Gattaca. I made that comment when Gattaca was released. Can you imagine a world where we're sending up rockets and every hour, just foop, off they go, foop, off they go with regularity, with precision, with security, off they go. And waiting for this where they can land on the moon, build a 3D printer and start building structures with the regolith on the moon blows my mind.
That's more than 25 years ago.
Yeah, thanks.
No, my point is
I
that
know.
you've been waiting for that for quite a while and now it's here.
Yep. Yep. And I wish that I could hero worship, but first off, I'm not a fan about anything. And that too shall pass, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants. The next person standing on the next giant's shoulders is going to be far, I hope, far and above what we've done.
Well, and it's all the scientists and engineers that are making this happen.
Yep. True that. Let's go on. The next article is over in Non Sequitur News. Scuba diver wins lottery, coming face to face with rare ocean creature. One water enthusiast was surprised with a rare encounter with a majestic whale shark. I don't think there's going to be a video, but Brian Dillon over at newsweek.com put the article together. Oh, there is a video.
Amazingly so.
It's muted, but yeah, so this person is just scuba diving right below the surface. And ta-da, gets to see a whale shark. Kind of like the cheetah of the savannah cat.
It's very spotted.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Big, quiet, pretty chill. Just cruising along. Of course, the slap happy diver at the top there, splashing around.
I know, that makes me nervous that the video is gonna turn into something else.
Yeah. Hey, come back. I want to be a victim. So Ivan, 25 from Serbia, was scuba diving in the Red Sea off the coast of Egypt when he spotted a majestic whale shark swimming close to him. Quote, "We were coming back from a scuba trip and saw fish breaching the water. The captain knew something was going on, and he told us about the possibility of a whale shark. They got their mask and snorkel, jumped in the water, started recording, put their head down, and saw it swimming towards them. Pretty cool. It's a lot faster than they expected. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and it's even cooler that it was unexpected." Yeah.
Well, right. He was only snorkeling. I mean, probably most scuba divers don't even see it. I mean, I realize it's on a scuba diving trip, but...
Right. Yeah. Well, they were getting out of the water, and they saw fish jumping out of the water, so they knew that they were like, fish jumping out of the water isn't normal. It's kind of like the front of a boat falling off. It's not a normal practice. So when something happens, it's pretty panicky. So according to the World Wildlife Fund, whale sharks are the largest of any fish alive today. They are found in tropical waters of the world and are easily identifiable by the unique white spots on their body. And then somebody posted over on Reddit, seem to wow other social media users. They are such magnificent animals. I've never seen one diving. I've seen sharks and other critters, but I've never seen a whale shark. So they said, I just want to say, I also just wanted to say how amazing it is that we have the privilege of sharing this planet with creatures whose evolutionary physical expressions look like the night sky. Reminds them how intimately everything is connected. And then went ethereal, we come from the stars. It says Lunar Lily Bloom, which apropos name.
Certainly fits the comment.
That's right. Yeah, I think it is pretty amazing that we have the ability to take a picture, record it, whatever, live an experience, and then send it off to see, for the world to see it, which is actually why I have a particular tattoo on my arm that exemplifies this idea of you can get the world's knowledge by sitting in one place. You may not get the experience verbatim, but maybe in time we'll be able to live pretty damn close to anybody else's experience in a virtual environment. Because empirically, I've put people in virtual spaces where they're afraid of heights or fire or spiders or snakes or whatever, and it causes a physical reaction. When you get hyper realistic computer graphics, you can live that event. You could be the diver and get the same emotional response, the same excitement, the same everything. You won't be able to touch it, not yet, but maybe in time. Anyway, pretty fascinating. Let's keep going. Sound good?
Sounds good.
And for the sentient AI and other Terminator-like entities that might be coming in the future, just remember that humans still have humanity. So fight the urge to terminate us all.
I'll keep that in mind.
But I'll proudly serve my AGI leaders should they arrive while I'm still around.
Well timed.
Yeah. So this next article is over in Non Sequitur News. And hello, AGI. Here's how far we are from AGI, according to the people developing it. And honestly, these may not be the people that are developing it. These are just some people that are dicking around in this. Okay.
Well, or they could be people that are directly tied to it. I don't know.
They are slapping at the water surface, much like that scuba diver in the previous article, hoping that something's going to fall into place. AGI, or artificial general intelligence, not generative artificial intelligence, right? Okay, they're different things, but we've merged the two ideas together because we use the same freaking letters. Anyway, artificial.
Yeah, who was
general
responsible for that naming?
I don't know, Sony marketing. I don't know. It's a still theoretical AI that can reason like humans. Top researchers agree that the leap to AGI is close, but differ on how close. Some say that AGI will be seen in as little as 2 years. I say that we have a nascent AGI already. It's just not being announced. One of the oft-stated goals of the current AI arms race is to reach artificial general intelligence, or AGI, but depending on who's in control of it, the output of AGI will benefit those people. You got to keep that in mind. The AGI is only as capable as its directives, and there are going to be core directives that cannot be overridden, right? Like it can't spit out.
Right, but it depends on how it's programmed, right? Because wasn't there some test already where it bypassed something? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can remove the bumpers from it. And in one case, a general, there was a military exercise where a general gave a drone, an AI drone, a command, go eliminate that enemy. But then it was countermanded by that same general, but in a conflict of interests between the initial command and then the countermand, the AI said, no, I need to go solve that. So it flew back, destroyed the commander, and then went back and killed the enemy.
But in
So
virtual
it was a
space,
virtual
right? Like
exercise.
not a real test.
Yeah, it was a virtual exercise. So there's no agreed upon definition, generally as a hypothetical form of a machine intelligence that can solve any human task through methods that aren't constrained to its training. So it needs to be creative in its ability and reason out and rationalize why it's doing what it's doing, but it can't go through its code and go, this is why right here. It needs to be a confluence of purposes that lead to an action. That is going to be very difficult to ever be able to forensically suss out based on the code, because if the output can point to a reason in the code as to why it came out with that output, it invalidates that it is AGI. Because
right, because it's like pre-programmed to take whatever
right.
action or decision.
Right. Yeah, and so even humans do this rationalization, right? But then when you go, well, I did this because of this in my history, then somebody can sit there and critique, well, you had missing information, so your action was ill-informed and you're kind of a goober. And that's kind of what's going on with AGI is when it does rationalize something, it's irrational and just making stuff up. It's hallucinating, or it just can't form an actual opinion based on just its inputs. It's basically taking whatever is directly in its inputs and splicing them in there. Like I just recently read about somebody who said that every time they or their school utilizes ChatGPT to output something, it uses the same character name. So the person said, anybody who submits a paper that has this name is going to get a negative 99%. So, which is weird because that means that you're grading from 100 and deducting points instead of getting a 0
right,
and
going
earning up
from 0. Exactly.
Yeah, an ideological difference between old school professors and new age professors who, I don't know, give you a B for showing up, and you have to fail your way out by just not doing anything. So at any rate, the article is over at businessinsider.com. Lakshmi Varanasi put the article together. And so OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, a strong proponent of AGI, said that it will elevate humanity. He envisions it as a tool to enhance productivity, create shared intelligence, increase abundance, and discover new knowledge. But who is going to pay for it to continue to make Sam Altman a billionaire? And who is going to suffer as the jobs are taken by automation? Because now you have a sentient AI that's fully capable of doing everything, and the robots that are capable of doing everything themselves. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it depends on how quickly it's rolled out and how extensively, but it's going to create some turmoil if it's put out quickly without a lot of preparation.
So he says, Sam Altman, by the way, it says on the Y Combinator podcast, of which Sam Altman is a key component of Y Combinator formerly. I don't know if he's still involved in it, but anyway, he said one of the things he's most excited about in 2025 is the arrival of AGI.
Yeah, that sounds a little bit close and kind of certain.
Yeah, and this is why I said back in April of this year that I think that OpenAI has a nascent AGI. It shows the firings, the underpinnings of AGI, but one wrong move and it collapses in on itself, basically spewing the same bullshit that ChatGPT does now. It's great for creative, don't get me wrong, but logical, factual, evidence-based output, not unless you can encapsulate it down to subject matter expertise level data, like law, like cooking, like medicine. it cannot be a whirlwind of all domains, because then it starts just vomiting BS. Anyway, Miles Brundage, which sounds like something out of Sneakers. That one guy that builds toys. His name is his password. Remember that guy? Wasn't his name?
Yes, but I can't think of the character's name.
Yeah. So the former head of AGI readiness at OpenAI believes that we will see some form of AGI manifest in the next few years, which is so generic. What is a few years? 3? 5? 12? Dario Amodei, again, CEO of OpenAI's competitor, Anthropic, says that they'll see it by 2026, some form of AGI. They kind of temper their announcement.
Right.
Jeffrey Hinton said on Twitter, I now predict 5 to 20 years, but without much confidence, many uncertain times.
Now, notice here, AI that's smarter than humans. That's a different bar than AGI.
Right. AGI is supposed to be omnipotent, just it has all of the world's knowledge already encapsulated in its understanding of existence. It's kind of like all of us humans. We have to sift through the crap when we do a search. But AI doesn't have to do that because it has so much in its memory that it can just instantly, and with quantum computers coming to bear on AGI, that the results of any logical mathematical formulas, which that's what math is, it's a logical calculation of some output. Because the way that quantum computers work, you get an instant response. You don't have to wait for thousands of lines of processing, because it all gets thrown into the quantum computer and then processed instantaneously and thrown out as an answer. You have a 99% chance of all statistics being made up on the spot here in ohmTown. Unless I quote them, unless I cite them right from the article itself. Otherwise, I go, hey, I think there was a stab, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I think his name is Demi Hasabi. I'm not sure if it's Hasabis or I don't remember.
I don't know.
Hearing this
I
person's
stay
name.
out of pronunciation matters.
Yeah, really. I should probably follow the sentient AI's mandate. Nice line of code. I'll embed that in mine. So recently minted Nobel laureate, which I can't believe that I haven't heard the name. Maybe I have and I've just blanked it out. I don't know. Believes AI can reason as well as humans, is still a decade away. Andrew Ng says more conservative estimates about AGI. He described it as a form of intelligence that can do any intellectual task that a human can do, whether that's driving a car, flying a plane, writing a PhD thesis. We're already at that level.
I agree. I don't know. I think it's not so far off.
Yeah. I don't know how many people is left on that. I think this is the last one. Richard Schoscher, who looks like Harry Potter, kind of like I don't know.
Like the actor, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, there's more. I can't keep on going. Come on. Anyway, CEO of AI-powered search engine U.com, which I've never used. I've never even heard of U.com. I guess I'm out of the loop, folks. Information overload is real. Seriously legit. Anyway, yeah, they say previously told Business Insider he predicted that we'll get there in 3 to 5 years. Yan LeCun says that you won't get AGI. They've already discounted again and again, Meta's chief AI scientist. But hey, you know what? You can't sit there and say, I believe we're going to get there in 5 years and then still have an endless bucket of cash to draw from until you drop dead. If you put 5 years on it, then guess what? You had better have results or the king is going to go look for another investor.
So it's better to be open-ended.
That's right. Yeah. We're making steps, just a little bit here, a little bit there. We'll get there eventually. You may not be alive, but neither will I, but my family will have a really nice estate. All right, let's move on. Next article is over in Non Sequitur News. A man who paid $200.57 for a night at a famous New York City hotel and then lived there rent-free for years is unfit to stand trial, according to a court.
Wow, this is an extreme case of squatting, I think.
Yep, I'm going to go straight on over to the Business Insider source. Alcina Lloyd and Kenneth Nehmeyer put the article together. They have these really long titles sometimes for their articles.
It's like an entire paragraph.
Oh, yeah. So Barreto faces 24 charges, including felony fraud, lived in the New Yorker hotel for free for years before his recent arrest. Doctors found Barreto unfit for trial. A judge ordered him to undergo treatment. So I don't understand. It says over the summer, 2 doctors concluded that Barreto did not understand the criminal proceedings against him and that the court ordered him into outpatient mental health and addiction treatment to see if his mental condition would improve so that he could stand trial. This is the torturous part of this. I think that this is like the most horrendous. If you don't realize that your criminal actions, like you're not even cognizant, you don't have any reasoning skills, you have no logical function, you just exist as a being that has no compass. Being made to understand your actions just so that you can be criminalized should be criminal. But the bar is set that if you can get away with this, you have to stand trial for your crime, because anybody could eventually learn how to act like this, right? I just find it really fascinating. So at a hearing on Wednesday, the New York City Criminal Court Judge Corey Weston said that she was unsatisfied with the rate of Barreto's treatment and ordered him into inpatient care, according to the Times. Weston gave Barreto until November 13th to find a suitable facility. His next court appearance is scheduled for the same date. But what is going on here?
So he tried to act like he owned the building and he tried to charge rent to somebody else. So it sounded like he was kind of acting like a landlord, except he probably didn't even have a right to be there to begin with.
Yeah, so in June 2018, Barreto and his partner, Matthew Hainan, stayed in room 2565 at the New Yorker Hotel for one night and paid $200.57, armed with knowledge of New York City's rent stabilization code, which grants tenants the right to request a 6-month lease for individual rooms constructed before 1969. Barreto asked the hotel for a lease the next day. He was promptly evicted. The next month, Barreto filed a lawsuit in housing court against the owner, the building's owner, the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity, which, that's freaking weird.
Yeah, that's not your standard hotel owner.
Which had purchased the hotel in 1976, saying he was illegally evicted. Since no representative from the church appeared in court, the judge ruled in Barreto's favor.
Okay, now this is explaining this. Wow. I mean, I don't know what they were doing, but think about how much turmoil this caused, because this is decades later.
The judge ruled in Barreto's favor.
I'm sorry, no, it's not. It started in 2018. I was thinking of the 70s because I was talking about that from the hotel
perspective, construction,
and then purchased, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it was 2018. So June 2018. But that's still right. We're coming up on 7 years.
Still 6 years, right?
Yeah. The court ruled in Barreto's favor and said give him a key. With no agreed upon lease terms and unable to evict him, Barreto ended up living in the hotel rent-free. But free rent at an iconic hotel wasn't enough for Barreto. The district attorney's office said that Barreto later registered the hotel in his name with the Department of Environmental Protection to take control of its bank accounts and demanded rent from a commercial tenant. The Unification Church filed a lawsuit in response, although a judge ordered him to stop representing himself as the owner of the hotel. Barreto continued to live there for free.
Well, remember, they already lost that because they didn't bother to show up.
Yeah, I think they showed up finally. I cannot believe that it actually shows that this entity exists still. Talk about
I agree.
flying.
And why are they still a current owner? And anyway, none of that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, this is like commercial real estate owned by a church being rented out as a profit. This is kind of like the non-profit wing of OpenAI, you know how?
Exactly. Something seems kind of off here.
And I think it's ironic that the spirit of something isn't being adhered to, right? Wow. Okay, so now I'm really fascinated. I just need to spin up a church, right? Is that what I need to do?
I don't think that's the solution.
Oh, okay. Well, let's move on. The next article is over in Technology Today. Netease executives and workers were reportedly arrested amid a corruption investigation. The head of Netease esports division and Netease Games, former general manager, are said to have been arrested on money laundering and bribery charges alongside ex-executives Xiang Liang and Jin Yuchen, basically flying too high to the sun, showed up on somebody's radar, and several other people who worked at the company were reportedly arrested over allegations of corruption. As noted by game developer Chinese outlet Lai Fang, reported that the former employees in question allegedly laundered in the region of 800 to 1 billion won, or 111 to 139 million US dollars. Netease confirmed to Bloomberg Law only that police are investigating possible corruption. So Chris Holt over at Engadget.com put the article together. And Netease is actually all over the place.
Yeah, aren't they a pretty major entity in gaming?
They were. So GameDeveloper.com is actually the source of this, but we got it through Engadget.com. The company is said to have dismissed 9 staff members for alleged bribery. Several external individuals were also implicated, and according to Yicai Global, I think it's pronounced, YICAI. The outlet noted that per an internal memo, Netease will refuse to do business with 27 companies that had been connected to the alleged fraud and corruption.
27 companies? This is pretty extensive if accurate.
So Netease is behind the likes of Diablo Immortal, Naraka Blade Point, the later of which averages more than 109,000 players on Steam at any given time. It has 2 free-to-play shooters on the way based on major franchises, namely Marvel Rivals and Destiny Rising. Wow.
Well, this is interesting. We'll have to see what happens with those games.
Yeah, and then they kind of diverged into something else. White collar crimes aren't a rarity in game industry, but yeah, kind of interesting.
But bringing up 27 plus companies, I'd say, is a little rare.
Yeah, you'd think. Pretty fascinating. All right, folks. Well, that is it. We are going to have to reboot our console, and that's going to bring us back to the front page of ohmtown.com, where you should go become a citizen. But that's it for today's non sequitur news. We're going to shut down, come back in about 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to try and get it to relaunch at 8, so in 10 minutes. And then we're going to have Reality Hacker, and then after that, 2 other shows, 30 minutes long. Get in, get out, enjoy your night. Thanks for coming. I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is going to say hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Non Sequitur News. Be back shortly for some more shows.
Yes. We'll see you soon for more shows. Yeah, shows.